use technology in ways that can be truly beneficial for human well-being. And there is a way to do that. It just has to be approached with a more mindfulness or consciousness-oriented attitude. But imagine what kind of, if not for inner transformation, but then at least for therapy, what kind of therapy can be offered where not only, for example, when you sit with a psychologist and you have a conversation with him, in certain ways, sometimes he puts you into a simulated reality. He tells you close your eyes. There's any number of visualization techniques that can be practiced. Sometimes he puts you into hypnosis and you go into regression, right? Now that's with the guidance of the hypnotist. Imagine if you could go through a simulated reality in which, for example, you live through certain traumatic experiences that you've known previously in your life. How cleansing and purifying that can be. It could be very simple. You just construct a psychological profile of the person. It doesn't even matter if these memories that are being, when you share it, so they create the psychological profile, it doesn't even matter whether they're true or not. What's important is how do you remember these experiences?
Yeah.
That's what really has a lingering effect on the mind. Not what actually happened, but how has it been digested? In what form has it been remembered?
But we were talking about living alone, but and incorporating technology. But I doubt people would have like a therapeutic VR in their house, right? To be mindful.
That technology doesn't exist yet.
Right.
They exist just for the sake of entertainment.
But
it could also lead to tremendous dangers. I mean, imagine where you go through an augmented or a simulated reality and you're so immersed and absorbed in it that you lose the discrimination as to what is real and unreal. It could add to your madness, and then you could suffer from various psychological diseases.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos.
It could be extremely immersive. And then there's the problem of addiction to the pleasure of the experience. That's another problem as well. So now the virtual reality or the augmented reality now becomes like it becomes a drug. It becomes a drug, and you become a drug addict. So I think already there's a category of illnesses which are computer related.
Yeah, there's a lot of addiction to cyber like technologies, internet, video games, all that stuff. There's people that died from playing too much.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
People who just lock themselves up and they become recluses to an extreme, not the recluse of a yogi who's invested in inner exploration, just totally isolated in a way which is extremely unhealthy. And then they become alienated rather than more and more integrated.
Yeah, I remember a story about I think it's mostly in the East Asian countries like Korea, China, in Japan. I think they have like a big culture around internet cafes or just being on their computer, right? And there's people that were playing at the internet cafe for 3 days straight, and he died from just thirst and starvation and fatigue also.
It all reflects that there's a deeper psychological root to all of this, that internally there's a tremendous desire to break through the familiarity of your ordinary experience.
Yeah.
It really comes from a longing for freedom.
Yeah.
And when you don't know the right path where to go to fulfill this longing for freedom, you end up becoming an escapist. I know on the outside it looks extremely different, but in essence it's really not so different from a yogi who's an escapist and who's very much attached to his practices. Right? You can have a support of your ego in the midst of the society, and you can have a support for your ego removed from the society in the midst of the Himalayas. Anything that strengthens the illusion of self is a disease of the mind.